Have you ever wondered, while playing your favorite games, or while watching your favorite anime, looking at your hero, how he became what he is? What is his backstory? Tell me, have you ever asked yourself this question? If you have, then enjoy the untold stories of your favorite characters, heroes, anti-heroes, villains, gods, demons, pirates and mages, and every kind of being that exists in those worlds. Welcome to the story of a hero. This is the story about Julius NOVACHRONO, a wizard king from anime franchise Black Clover. While disguising himself, Julius attends a Grimoire acceptance ceremony, where he witnesses Yami Tsukihiro receive his Grimoire and reveal his dark magic. Impressed, Julius invites him to join the Magic Knights. Because Yami is a foreigner, Julius also has to teach Yami the Clover Kingdom's language. Julius is impressed by young William's vengeance world-stream magic, and invites him to join the Magic Knights. When William hesitates because of his scar, Julius offers him a helmet. During a conflict between the Clover Kingdom and the Diamond Kingdom, Julius encounters Lotus Woman. On the battlefield where he witnesses the later battle proves. Years later, Julius returns to the Noble region along with several knights from defending against the foreign invasion. They are welcomed with joy and cheers from the Noble region's citizens. 6 months later, Julius decides to disguise himself as an old lady and wander around Kika's black market. He then gambles against Seki Bronzazi, whom he manages to outmatch. Not long after, a thief snatches his belongings and runs away. Fortunately, Seki and several other knights from the Black Bull squad are able to apprehend the culprit. After one of those knights, Asta, returns his belongings. Julius removes his disguise as the Black Bull members are leaving. He then begins to take an interest in Asta after seeing his anti-magic. Subsequently, Julius receives a call from Marx François, who requests his immediate presence, but the Emperor ignores his subordinate. When he is informed of an emerging problem, Julius assures him that he found the perfect candidate to solve. Later on, Julius assigns Asta on a mission to explore a newly emerged dungeon by sending a formal letter to Yami. Julius then receives a report from one of his subordinates that the Diamond Kingdom had sent Lotus Woman and his group to explore the dungeon. While all of his subordinates start to panic, Julius remains calm as he is confident in the knight's abilities. After Julius learned that the dungeon exploring mission was a success, he immediately requested a meeting with the knights who managed to complete it. During the meeting, Julius swiftly examines one of the artifacts that Yuno, a Golden Dawn squad member, managed to retrieve. He is excited when he asks Yuno to activate it, but quickly shows his disappointment when the boy reveals his ability to control it. Subsequently, Julius decided to refrain from explaining Sylph while encountering Yuno to grow along with it. He then proceeds examining Asta artifact, but Julius failed to comprehend the writing in the Grimoire. When he holds onto the sword, which was summoned from the writings, Julius can feel his mana is being absorbed by the sword. He then returns back to Asta and explains to him that he is the only one capable of wielding sword because he lacks any magical power. Subsequently, Asta and Yuno ask him about the method to achieve Magic Emperor rank, which prompts Julius to explain the simple truth to them that anyone with great reputation could become the Magic Emperor. Afterwards, he invites the young knights to attend a War Merits conferment ceremony alongside him as he takes them to the ceremonial hall. After he prompts several knights at the ceremony, Julius invites all the participants to a banquet that he had prepared, before he disappears a moment later. When the royal capital is being invaded, Julius remains absent as he asked Marx to cover for him. During his absence from the royal capital, Julius travels to the Eye of the Midnight Sun hideout, where he lies in wait until the mages who were attacking the city return. Once the Eye of the Midnight Sun members enter the hideout, Julius reveals himself and swiftly kills two of the mages who were trying to attack him. Subsequently, he kills another mage before offering an act of mercy for a mage who is willing to surrender, as he plans to kill the rest of them. When none of the mages accept his offer, Julius engages in a fight against the remaining two mages before he activates a restraining magic spell on all of them. Afterwards, Julius notices Asta, who is finally freed from Sally's spell. Julius then lends his hand to the young knight, who refuses and stands up by himself. Afterwards, the Magic Emperor shifts his attention to the Sephiroth within the hideout. At that moment, a bright light manifests and the Sephiroth disappears along with the mages he had restrained. Fortunately, Julius manages to secure one of them, as he believes that the leader of the Eye of the Midnight Sun was the one behind the light magic. As Julius enables the communication magic, Marx quickly reaches out and informs him of the situation within a royal capital. Julius immediately returns to the city while talking Asta and the rogue mage with him. After one of the captains explained to him of Fugilon Vermilion's condition, Julius rescises his decision on leaving the capital's protection to the knights while also determining the threat's significance. Afterwards, he addresses the knights and gives them a few words of encouragement in regards to their mission as the protectors of the Clover Kingdom. The Magic Emperor then proceeds on arresting the citizens of the royal capital in regards to the invasion. He also decides to leave vital information from the public, such as his suspicion of a traitor within the Magic Knights. Subsequently, he is present when Marx tries to extract information from Catherine and George, members of the Eye of the Midnight Sun. Unfortunately, their attempt is unfruitful, as Julius asks his aide to keep investigating while they wait for Fugilon to open his eyes. After Asta recovers from his battles in the caves outside of Nine, Julius has the boy brought to the dungeon to remove the wards on Catherine and George. But the Magic Emperor gets distracted when he asks Asta about Eye of the Midnight Sun's leader abilities. As Asta touches the captives with the Demon Slayer sword, Julius orders Marx to activate his magic. After hearing who the traitor is, Julius and Marx send the Magic Knights captains down, and once they are gathered, he asks the captives to repeat their answer. Gueldre Poison. When the Purple Orca tries to escape, he is stopped by Asta and restrained by Real Bosmoti. And Julius thanks everyone for acting for him since he does not know how to restrict his power. Julius then confronts Gueldre, and he has Marx display the captain's memories. Julius reminds the captains that the Magic Knights are to protect the citizens, and then orders them to search their own squads for more traitors, but not to make the information public. He dismisses the Magic Knights and has Marx continue questioning Gueldre. Julius requests that Yami and Asta meet with him in his office. He explains to Asta about the magic stones and the great magic zones, and requests that the Black Bull squad recover the magic stone in the Sabbath Temple. Several days later, Julius meets with the Black Bulls in his office. He congratulates them on their successful mission, having secured the magic stone and brought back 3 captives. Suddenly, Marx contacts the Magic Emperor and informs him that the Diamond Kingdom is attacking Kitten. After watching the battle, Julius is impressed by Yuno and Slip's strength, and requests that the Black Bulls go and support the Golden Dawns. In the tournament arc, during the 9th match, Julius is amazed by Asta's Black Hurricane and Magnus' extreme killing vanishing magic bomb. During the 10th match, Julius is excited to watch Finor and Langris clashing spatial magic, but becomes serious when Langris creates several spatial distortions. Julius is taken back by the scale of the explosions from Langris and Finor's magic clashing. Afterwards, when Finor is unconscious and heavily injured, Langris tries to kill him, but the Black Bulls and Julius, Marx and Owen arrive on the battlefield to stop the vice captain. Julius comments that he cannot trust those who go easy on their comrades, but also those who try to kill their comrades. Langris asks permission to deal with the Black Bulls, but attacks before Julius can respond. However, Asta nullifies the attack, and Julius declares that the Team B will fight Team G. To prepare for the impromptu fight, Julius freezes Asta and Langris in time and his gob gather their teammates. Once they all arrive, Julius explains the rules before releasing Asta and Langris. The Magic Emperor silently watches as the match unfolds. Julius is impressed with Duel's growth when he single-handedly defeats Team M. The Magic Emperor then announces that Team I versus Team B will be the final match. When Milo displays his Spirit Dive spell, Julius is once again impressed with his growth and power. After the tournament ends, Julius is approached by Zora and remarks on how much Zora reminds him of Zara. Julius finishes by asking if Zora would wear his black bull robe, but the rogue refuses to acknowledge the connection. Several days later, Julius is watching the sunset from one of the palace's towers when William approaches him. Julius notes how unusual that is. William removes his mask and thanks to the Magic Emperor for everything he has done. However, he informs Julius that there is another whom he treasures and that he cannot choose between them as their paths diverge. William then transforms in Patoli, who thanks William and introduces himself as Licht. Julius expresses his regret over this revelation. Julius questions how Patoli removed William's scar, to which Patoli replies that human curses do not affect him. After Patoli explains his hatred for humans, Julius realizes that William's kindness allowed this to happen, but resolves to win. Their fight begins. Patoli launches multiple light blades, which Julius catches with chronostatic Grigora. So Patoli closes the distance and attacks with Bright Judgment Whip, but Julius manages to predict and dodge every swing. Patoli then appears behind Julius and slashes him across the chest. The two land back on the tower wall and Julius explains how his time magic works, while reversing the wound. Patoli renews his attack and tries to attack from behind again, but this time Julius appears behind him and blocks his attack. As their battle continues, Julius catches on Patoli's blades and sends it back, accelerating its speed and cutting Patoli's face. With Patoli distracted, Julius tries to restrain him, but Patoli dodges. When Patoli marvels at the Magic Emperor's strength and wonders about his grimoire, Julius points up to where it is hovering over the city. He explains that he constantly questioned who he was and where he was going until he became the Magic Emperor. He then tries one more time to restrain Patoli, but the elf moves up into the air and releases the sealed mana, the sheer amount of which leaves Julius stunned, as Patoli rains down arrows of judgment down on the king. Julius reflects on his past disaffection with the nobles and his history with Zara. He, however, resolves to keep protecting the country because he has noticed a small change in the public's acceptance of peasants. He creates a giant clock and stops and dissolves Patoli's spell, saving all of the citizens. Unfortunately, this leaves him defenseless as Patoli stabs him. Julius collapses and bleeds out while Yami confronts Patoli. After Patoli escapes, Julius compliments Yami's new spell and remarks on how well Yami and the next generation of Magic Knights have improved. He thinks to himself about having wanted to create a future without discrimination and hate. As he dies, Julius reflects on his own failings and regrets and leaves the defense of the kingdom to Yami. His final thought is of all the magic he got to see, while his star tattoo and grimoire disintegrate. Later that night, Yami protects Julius' corpse from the attacks of fallen monarchs who are possessed by elf spirits. After knocking those two unconscious, Charla, who has possessed Charlotte Rosalie, forces Yami to run through the city while he carries and protects the corpse. When Sol Maran arrives to save Charlotte, Yami passes to her the spear containing the corpse, which she buries in another part of the city. The next morning, Julius came back to life due to additional time he had stored in his tattoo, and his body has reverted to adolescence. Julius thanks Yami and William when they come looking for him. That's all for today, guys. Thanks for watching. If you like the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and also leave a comment on which character would you like to see next. Thank you.